Africa, my home. A home I share with more than 1 billion other people. When you think of Africa, what do you think of? Black people? Yeah, I could see that. Wild animals? Yeah, me too. What else do you think of when you think of Africa? Poverty? Hunger? I mean, sure. There's poverty and hunger in Asia, poverty and hunger in Europe, poverty and hunger in Africa, and poverty and hunger in the Americas. It's everywhere. It's not exactly where you thought I was going to go with that, was it? On account of how Africa is portrayed to us. The other day, I was sitting a geography test, and in this infographic, we were asked to deduce what's wrong with it. In the infographic, it was titled Africa, a continent in the shadows. You can guess I did pretty well in that test. But what broke my heart the most was the fact that there were people in that exam room and outside of that exam room who believe that this truly is Africa. That Africa is a place that is riddled with hopelessness. And the only thing that we ever do is fight off war, poverty, hunger, famine, more poverty. And then at the end of the day, we all gather around our big campfire and chant our national anthem, the poverty cry. In poverty we try, in poverty we die. Oh, poverty, why? A couple months back, when I was new here, I remember talking about how I'm going to go back home and see my friends during the half-term break. And the first question someone asked me was, why? Why would you want to go back? I didn't know whether to scream, cry, laugh, or educate them. Instead, I chose to humble myself and Google a picture of Nairobi, my home. Boy, were they shook. They couldn't believe that there was a place in Africa that had electricity, buildings that stood, and life. They probably still think I Googled the set of Wakanda. But you see, that's the problem. That's what we've all been taught to believe about Africa, that it is nothing, that there is nowhere to go. Believe me when I tell you that I am not here to debunk every myth that you have about Africa. I am simply here to raise awareness for the misrepresentation of Africa. Africa was a land of the free. Africa was a land that was rich with minerals and culture. And then the rape came. Centuries on centuries of Africans being removed from Africa. And in the places where they were too far away to be removed, their land was taken, their religion was mistaken for a farce, and everything that they ever knew was misshapen. Take it this way. It's like a marathon's about to start, and everyone's at the starting line, waiting to go. And suddenly, one contestant has his leg cut off, and he can't run, and he isn't allowed to run. But the race keeps going and going and going. And then one day, someone comes and says, wait, this isn't fair. We have to let them participate. And they say, okay, ready, set, go. But wait, this person has no legs. This person has to learn to run with prosthetics. Do you see where I'm getting at? Africa has had to learn to run with a new mechanism, avoiding the skepticism and coping with the cynicism as the rest of the world solemnly looks by and sighs. In poverty they try, in poverty they die. Oh, poverty, why? Once again, I must remind you that I am not here to condemn anyone or ask for your pity. I am simply here to tell you about the Africa that I come from. Where I come from, we have lions, giraffes, elephants, hotels, cinemas, everything you can imagine, all in one city. Nairobi is miraculously the only city in the world to have a thriving national park adjacent to it. But that's what they'll never teach you. Back home, all of my friends and I, our grandparents were born under colonialism. And for some of my friends, their parents had to live under colonialism as well. See, what that meant was they had little to no rights. They couldn't even walk 10 kilometers without a note from their master proclaiming who sent them. And when the Mau Mau tried to fight for freedom, they were labeled as terrorists. And yet they still fought. They fought for Kenya's freedom. They fought so that I can have a future and be more than just a laborer working on a land that I don't own and being owned. But that is a history that they will never teach. That is a history that if you preach, you seek being deemed a leech that is trying to grip onto history and just won't let go of the past. But without that history, it'll be extremely hard for you to understand why more than 1 billion Africans, including myself, will forever stand and proclaim our national anthem. In poverty we tried. In poverty, our fathers cried. But it is out of this poverty that we despise that we will rise and bring success to our nations, so that we will never, ever have to sing, "Oh, poverty, why?" Thank you.